We're continuing in Perek Gimel Halacha Dalet. Pashtus Loshen La'olam Yira Atzmai. When it says in the Gemara, a person should always see himself as if the world is half liable and half meritorious. It means that this is the entire year. But therefore, the question is why I say Lefikoch, therefore. Because if he's talking only about Rosh Hashanah, then why should he say forever? And we blow on Rosh Hashanah to make a person to be aware that he should do tshuva. What does it have to do with the language of therefore? It's talking about a person in his daily life throughout the year. The Ma'aser Rikech answers, it doesn't mean to continue. The Rambam does not mean when he says Lefikoch to continue what he was talking about, blowing of shofar from Rosh Hashanah. But he meant to say that the concept of shofar is to help a person remember that which he forgets when he's within the regular world. Therefore, he writes Lefikoch that we should try to minimize the amount of forgetfulness that we have, and therefore, when Rosh Hashanah comes around, we will not have to be awakened from a very deep slumber, but maybe just from a little bit of lack of sleep. The Avodas HaMelech explains, Lefikoch is a continuation of Halacha Aleph. If a person has a majority of merits, he's called a tzaddik. Vice versa, he's called a rosha. So too, a whole year, so too the nations of the world are judged, and so is the world. Therefore, he writes that a person should be fearful the whole year. Maybe it will cause him to be more careful with keeping mitzvahs, and he will watch himself from doing averos. Beis Mayim cites that they also ask on the Loshen Rambam, the Rambam's language that says, and it causes him to be destroyed, meaning that the sin causes him, to the person himself, and not the world to be destroyed, but by mitzvahs, he writes that it causes them to be saved and have salvation. That's them into the entire world. So why is there a change between the singular and the plural? And he explains, Goram Loi doesn't mean to the individual. It means to the entire world and not to the individual. And the questioner only asked the question because he understood that it's only for the person himself, because he couldn't think, he did not assume that because of one sinner the whole world will be lost. But that's the case, as we see from Kedushin, that if one person does a mitzvah, he saves the entire world, and it's he who's doing it, and therefore that one person actually is the deciding factor in every situation. That's how important the individual is. The Rambam writes, therefore, all of Klal Yisrael did tzedakah ma'asim tovim, and they were oisik in the mitzvahs from Rosh Hashanah until Yom Kippurim more than the rest of the year. Lecha Mishnah explains that the shofar Rosh Hashanah comes to warn a person. He should correct his deeds. He should check his actions. Therefore, on the 10 days of Tshuva, he has to do many mitzvahs, such as charity and good deeds. And his explanation is a bit not comprehensible, because the Rambam should have said this right after he explains what the blowing of shofar is about. That it comes to make a person aware of his actions and his deeds. Why does he say first the fact that a person should assume the world is half liable and half meritorious, and only then does he say that one should do more good deeds. We'll turn the page. The Merkevas HaMishnah explains And because of this reasoning, it really has to do with Halacha 3, that when they measure a person's merits at the time of dying, so they measure on Rosh Hashanah in the same fashion. And somebody who's called a tzaddik immediately is signed for life. Therefore, every person should see himself as always in the position of being 50% liable, 50% merited. And furthermore, therefore, one should strive to accomplish things during the 10 days, such as tzedakah and good deeds, in order that through his merits, he will not only tilt the scales for himself, but the whole world for merit before Yom Kippur, which is a day when everyone agrees the Gzar Din is signed. And the order of his wording of his understanding seems to be correct from the wording. First it says, first we measure his deeds, and on that we come to the shofar to make a person himself aware of his deeds. And once he comes to that awareness, then, since Rosh Hashanah is a day of judgment, and he is half worthy and half liable, he has to take action to cause himself to tilt to the side of merit, and therefore everyone of Klal Yisrael adds in tzedakah, because each one finds himself being a Beinoni. So by doing good actions, his Gzar Din will be the Tova, and perhaps he will be the one who will decide the issue for the entire world. Now, one gets up early on the 10 days of Tshuva. The world gets up at night throughout the 10 days of Tshuva, which includes Rosh Hashanah till Yom Kippur. These get up to say more beseechments between Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. And everyone calls these days the 10 days of repentance. With his follow, B'Botei Gansias, the Rambam says he goes to daven in shul, B'divrei Tachnunim, V'kivushin Ad Sheyoya Hayoim, and to continue with words of beseechment and statements that suppress his desires until the day comes up. We mention these words that will subjugate the heart of a person to do tshuva. The word kivushin is actually the language of the Mishnah, that when they make an edict of a fasting on the tzibur, on the populace, because of the troubles that might come upon them, the zokein, meaning the elders, say divrei kivushin, say words that cause a person to subjugate himself. Rashi says hatzira, to hold himself back, meaning that we pressure ourselves to put ourselves back into a good position. The Migdalois cites Rosh Hashanah 18a, also Yevomis 105a. In the Pasuk in Yeshayahu, Yisrael Hashem b'yimotzu, seek out Hashem when He can be found. And with that, this refers to the 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is found and wants us to be meritus, and He seeks out our merits, as it says in Perek Beis. Even though Tshuva and Tzedakah are good throughout the year, on this 10 days of ours, they call it the 10 days of repentance, to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, it's even more beneficial and is immediately accepted. As it says, the Gemara cites also Rosh Hashanah 17b. If he repented in the interim between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, he is forgiven. As it says in Halacha 3, that a Beinoni who repents in these days is written on these days. Again, this is according to what the Gemara says. Again, he's changed to be written for life. When you say slichas, Hilchos Tshuva Sigur's Moshe Feinstein, he points out until daybreak. It would seem that you say Divrei Tachanun Slichas at night before the day. That's the time which is considered in Zohar and in Mosdos Swarm, the time Chassidish Swarm, and the time that is most propitious to do to have your prayers accepted. And even though from the Bostoner Rambam it would seem it's very close to the time of getting up, still it begins at Chatzos. Because Chatzos is also a time of when a person's prayers will be more readily acceptable before Hashem. From the page, the Shulchan Aruch, Tufkuf Pei Aleph, Paskins codifies the law that one gets up in the morning to say Slichos and Tachnunim from Rosh Chodesh Elul till Yom Kippur. That's the way the Sfardim actually do it for the entire month. They say the same Slichos every day. But the Ramah writes, many B'nai Ashkenaz is not that way, but we only blow shofar after Shachris to arouse a person throughout Elul, and we get up at night to say Slichos usually from the Sunday before Rosh Hashanah. If it's more than 3 days, if it's more than 3 days, the Gra adds, according to the Rambam, only between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur you have to get up in Rosh Hashanah to say Slichos, and not before then. The Yaros Dvash writes 7 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, because if you take off Rosh Hashanah, you have 10 days. You take off Rosh Hashanah, which is 2 days, Yom Kippur, which is 1 day. You're left with 7 days. These 7 days, they are the 7 days of the week. Each one represents a day of the week that you can rectify. And when you rectify a Sunday of these 7 days, you're rectifying all that you misdeeds for all the Sundays of the whole year. And therefore, that's why there are 7 specific days, so you can rectify the entire week. We finish per Halacha Hey, Daled, we'll begin Halacha Hey.